What is up, everybody? How you doing? How you doing? All right, all right, all right. LSUODYSSEY.COM here. Been blasting some Jane's Addiction. Great, great, great damn band. What a band. Slather them up with some pepper. What a band. It's been raining here all day. We put out a wild article last night that I hope you've checked out. I feel invigorated after writing that. That was fun. That was one of the most fun I've had writing an article this season. Was what we did last night, the Georgia State article. We've written some other good ones this season, but we felt kind of like we were flatlining, and it felt like it was just great to get some mojo back. Whether you enjoy it or not, like, who knows? We love doing that. It feels like we're back. Just energy is vibing. We got the Fresca on ice. We got Texas A&M this weekend. And we know what they did to us last year. Okay? I mean, they spoiled our season last year. We had all these goals right in front of us. Still were able to keep the SEC championship goals. Still were able to keep, the 10-win season alive. All those things were great. But we absolutely threw away an opportunity to go to a college football playoff last year. And now we have this other chance this season, but we lose that game to Alabama. It throws everything into upheaval. We had already lost that game to Ole Miss, already had a second loss. So you're just done. You're just done. You're out of it. Sadly, all that's left to play for is a Jaden Daniels Heisman, a Malik Neighbors Blitnikoff, a Brian Thomas Jr. Blitnikoff nomination, or co-win, whatever. Those are the goals for this team right now. And I know that sounds bizarre, but a 10-win season, Blitnikoff for Malik, who thoroughly deserves it, and of course, a Heisman for Jaden Daniels, which, I mean, we know, as we've seen from some of these people, this Joe Costanazo Baldo, whatever the hell his name is, this dude from Oregon, ripping Jaden Daniels, posting a tweet today saying Jaden Daniels would hold a clipboard at University of Washington or Oregon. Just laughable comments, disrespectful as hell. And I guarantee there is a tinge of hatred there for Jaden Daniels because of how Jaden Daniels constantly embarrassed, and I mean really embarrassed, Oregon whenever he played them when he was at Arizona State. So I'm angry right now at how Jaden Daniels is just being disrespected. Just disrespected like he's just some other guy. Like he's just some other dude, Oh, well, he's just racking up stats. He's just racking up stats against Georgia State. Don't forget that he ran for 163 rushing yards and almost threw for 300 just in 3 quarters of play against Alabama. Forget that he almost had a 300-yard passing game with a fucked up foot against Georgia, number 1 Georgia, in the SEC championship game last year. Forget that he's already got Alabama's scalp with a gutty 2-point conversion, do or die play last year. He's beaten Auburn on the road in his SEC debut. He beat Florida on the road in his SEC debut. He has absolutely embarrassed and destroyed Florida in his 2 appearances against that team. The Gators never want to see Jaden Daniels. They are ecstatic. This is his final season. And so to hear, like that's fine. If you don't believe Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in college football, that's fine. I'm okay with that. You have your opinion, whatever. But when you basically shit on this dude's accomplishments by saying he would hold a clipboard at a Pac-12 school in a conference he just owned and dominated and left from to go somewhere better, bigger, to have a more solid opportunity at a national championship, and you're going to try and throw that type of sleaze in there. Disgusting. Let's put this dude on blast right now. Let's put this dude let's share his tweet. Let's put his tweet on the screen. Cuz this was a joke. How are we going to find this? Reply, something like that? Joe Canzano. Okay. This dude, this stooge, has a Heisman vote. Joe Canzano. Stop with the Jaden Daniels Heisman hype. He'd hold a clipboard at both Oregon and Washington. I'm not making this up. I'm not pulling this out of my ass. This dude posted that. What an absolute clown. After Jaden Daniels is responsible for 13 total touchdowns in 2 games and 1,115 total yards. 0 turnovers. Like, are you kidding me? And not only that, he has that defense to contend with. He's literally, Jaden Daniels is facing 2 opponents in every game. He's facing the opposing defense, but he's also facing his own defense. And he's doing it in the SEC. He's doing it while Dallas Turner is trying to absolutely kill him and getting 0 protection from the refs. On every play out there, Jaden Daniels is getting the same protection that a running back is going to get. And you're going to tell me that this kid, you're just going to piss all over his accomplishments? Get out of here. Get out of here, John Canzano. That was totally just for attention, totally just for hits, clicks. He got what he was looking for. But I don't think it's going to be the right kind of attention he was hoping for. I don't think it's going to be the one he was wanting. Because that dude does not deserve a Heisman vote. If those are the people of Heisman votes, get out of it. Like, get going. Quincy Wiggins had a good game yesterday. That was something we actually pointed out. I just, as much as I want to go into other topics, this is just really getting to me. The fact that Jaden Daniels has dealt with criticism from this fan base, from LSU's fan base, his entire tenure here until the Mississippi State game this season. Then things kind of turned his way. Great. And it's great to see, J.D. Pickell, Josh Pate, David Pollock, Cole Kubelik, Roman Harper, so many saying that guy's the Heisman. Roddy Jones, the guy who was commentating on LSU's game last night, he's the Heisman. But what really bothers me is that there are some out there RG3 being one of them, who are so jealous of what Jaden Daniels is accomplishing right now that they cannot help themselves. They cannot help themselves from going after this kid and saying he doesn't deserve what he's getting for some reason. Let's nitpick everything here and find some way to take this from him. Brambo with the comments, shaking my head, man. We went from expecting to repeat as West champs to just talking about JD all the time. Shaking my head. That is sad. That is something I noticed when I was writing about the game last night. Brambo is, I'm writing about LSU almost like we're a one-man team, or like a three-man team with the Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. statistic update. Like that's what it felt like. Because let's be honest, man. Our defense is so goddamn terrible. We have to rely on those guys to carry us game to game. That's just the truth. And so, yes, that is how things are right now. And I think that is very cool that we have accurately reflected the times that we find ourselves in. That, whether we agree with it or not, whether we feel that's how LSU football should be played or not, we've accurately reflected our times every season of our coverage. And that is what's going on right now, is it is Jaden Daniels hero ball time. I, for one, love watching it. But in another respect, when I see our defense open that game against Georgia State like that, it's like, wow, times are changing, because I'm almost excited that Georgia State are scoring, because I am expecting them to score. I'm saying, why not just walk in, let them walk in, because now I know Jaden Daniels is going to have to go answer. And I know Jaden Daniels is going to have to put up a ton of points. So what you're going to have is Jaden Daniels is just going off. And we're going to have a boom, 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 boom. A nice, fast-paced, high-octane, offensive, explosive type of game. And that's what we saw against Florida. That's what we saw against Florida last year, too. But then you saw Harold Perkins actually get some snaps last year and make some plays, come out of his shell. That big game, he had the big game against Auburn with the pick, but he hadn't really played consistent snaps. After we got our asses drilled by Tennessee, they finally put Harold out there, and Harold, Wingo, a few guys were able to just make some plays in that fast-paced, crazy game last season in the Swamp. And once again, you saw a fast-paced, crazy game against Florida here at home. And, LSU, the defense, I actually feel had a better game against Florida than we did against Georgia State. Georgia State, you expect LSU to keep a shutout or at least keep them under 10. And not only that, but create turnovers. Maybe score a defensive touchdown. Cause havoc. Go out there and have fun. Go out there and play with swagger. I did not see that until the tail end of the second half. And yeah, you saw guys like Mason Smith get a half a sack. You saw, Harold Perkins was awesome all night. But you saw very little from the guys you were hoping to see something from. Quincy Wiggins, though, 9 snaps, the most he has played all season, gets a tackle for loss. He played well. Let's load up those numbers right now and just go through those numbers and go through some of the highlights that we got here to show you. Because we can go on the receivers, we can talk about all that all night. And we've talked about the defense as well, though. We have examined the defense as bad as they have been. Right, that was the preview video, basically, was us going, Jaden Daniels, how long are we going to keep him in? How much are we going to see from Nuss? Kind of going back and forth on what we would see there. And I was just just let Jaden play the whole game. Just let him rack up the numbers. He needs every opportunity to rack up the numbers for this Heisman thing. these other guys are going to have extra opportunities to put up points, to put up numbers that he will not have. So I was in favor of letting Jane Daniels go off, and tied Burrow's most touchdowns in a game, touchdowns responsible for in program history with 8. It's ridiculous. But what's even worse is LSU allowed 365 total yards to Georgia State. LSU allowed 365 total yards defensively yesterday to Georgia State. 148 on the ground. Here's the crazy thing. We let Darren Granger throw for 18 completions on us in just the first half alone. He went 23 of 29 against our DBs. Marcus Carroll, you saw him burst that one for 44 and a touchdown on us. Actually made it a game for a while there. That's the problem here is in these gimme games, I hate to call them that, but that's what they are. LSU, this is where you expect the talent, the recruiting, the pedigree of the players to kind of just take over and just show that you're just better. And whether we're ill prepared, whether we're not really playing that well, whatever, we're more talented, and that should just show out, right? It really should. That sounds arrogant to say, but that is how college football works. It does show out in a physical game like football. The bigger, the stronger, the faster win. Just 99.9% of the time. And what you saw from LSU was we were exposed last night. Our recruiting was exposed. The lack of, how do I say this? The lack of dog on our defense was exposed. I mean, yeah, Omar Speights had 10 tackles. Great. Good for him. Omar Speights led the team with 10 tackles. Did he look like an LSU linebacker to you at any point in this season? No. The answer is no. Brambo says Slomar Speights has been terrible all season. Man, the way that Whit Weeks has been marginalized on this team after how he started this season for us. His career, his collegiate career, he's on the road against Mississippi State, asked to play. We really don't know how good Omar Speights is yet because he hasn't really played. And then, boom. You see this dude just completely take over, and you're thinking, okay, Omar Speights or not, this is the guy now. This is the better player now, right? I mean, 9 tackles, leads the team in his first LSU SEC debut on the road. And then he only just continues to go from great performance to great performance, and then he's gone. 0 snaps since he played 12 against Army. It's scandalous, and I'm going to tell you this right now. Witt and West have options. They don't have to stay at LSU. Okay? That should scare you because at linebacker, we might have something good going here if we can keep these pieces together. And I'm talking about even in the post-Perkins era. We can keep these pieces together. We might have something going here at linebacker. You look at the names coming in. Keys, Devon Keys, someone who's awesome as a ball hawk, as just an awesome straight-up traditional linebacker, as a pass rusher. Devon Keys can do it all. Picks, forced fumbles, sacks, TFLs. He does it all. Love watching Devon Keys play football. And then you got Tylen Singleton out of Manny High that a lot of people didn't think LSU would be able to get. Well, we did. And we've got to capitalize off someone like that. In the post-Perkins era, he's someone who's going to have to be huge. And then you got Keelan Moses, 2025 class. Keelan Moses is another top, just absolute freak linebacker, that do-it-all, uber athlete, totally moldable into a variety of roles, and it's just up to a smart defensive coach to find that right role for him. And in the post-Perkins era, you're going to have Keys, Singleton, you possibly Whit Weeks, okay, and then Keelan Moses. Those are 4 absolute studs right there. Christian Braithwaite, there's some rumors going around whether he'll stay with the team or not. It's looking like that's up in the air. Who knows if Matt House's future will hinge on that. There's a few questions about whether Greg Penn III, if he's returning for next season. Obviously, that will be Harold Perkins' last season as a Tiger. Coming up here this next year, you would expect Harold Perkins to be gone after year 3. If not, that'd be fantastic if he stayed, because then that would just only make our linebacking core look even better. But really, from the outset, it looks like we got some star power at linebacker. Ahmad Brow as well, another guy you can also throw in there at linebacker. Kolaj Cobbins is more of a jack linebacker, pass rusher. But once again, you just got talent all over that front 7 coming in. Talent. But it's just LSU haven't been able to really recruit as well as they should. There's some strong names at linebacker coming in. But the defensive line, DBs, just very worrisome recruiting-wise. And I know we lost Kai Bates. I'm not too worried about his departure. I know it sounds crazy, but I feel like we could have lost worse. Juwan Johnson, that'd be a bigger loss. Trust me. Poe English says, calm down, Lon. I got him. Pack, Oregon, and Washington play 2 top 25 teams a year each other. Neither Nix or Penix couldn't cut it in the SC. Went to the easiest conference in football. Haha, JD the truth. No, I mean, that's true. I mean, Bo Nix literally left Auburn. It was too tough for him. He couldn't handle his father's own legacy at a school that basically was kissing his ass. Bo Nix always did well against LSU. You can't really argue that. Even as a freshman, 2019, his only mistake against us was that pick before halftime to Stingley. Other than that, he played actually well enough to beat LSU in that game. It's just there was just too much LSU in that game. Kevin Steele had the perfect game plan against our offense. We were lucky in that game. I know the score makes it look closer than it actually was because of the last field goal or last touchdown by Auburn, but that was probably the most like biting the fingernails game of 2019. Kent Jones, good evening, Lon. What's up, Kent? How are you doing, my brother? Kent is a good dude. Kent is a badass. He listened to my tale of woe the other day, where he asked me how I was doing, how the boy was doing, and I was like, "Kid's doing great, but man, I am sick as hell." And he listened to my tale of woe, and he said a prayer for me. So I mean, like, you gotta love a guy like that. Kent, cannot wait to share a beverage with you, my good sir. Mark Cumby, what's up, Mark? He says, calling it. Oregon State beats Oregon. Bo Nix becomes Bo Picks. And Arizona wins, putting Arizona in the Pac-12 championship game versus Washington. Hey, I'll take it. Here's the thing. Sorry, got to adjust this pillow. Here's the thing about Bo Nix. You know, they're going to put up points. They're going to put up numbers. Oregon, and they're playing in the Pac-12. And so it's kind of funny that everyone's like, Jaden Daniels is padding the stats. Look at their schedule. Look at that schedule, and then look at ours. And then just you don't let anything these people say bother you. You know, it's embarrassing when they want to try and even claim that their school could handle a schedule like LSU's.
God.
They've never even seen a receiver like this or a quarterback like this. Look at that.
Oh my God.
I could watch that all day, y'all. I mean,
Don't pull him
Malik
up. The dude.
Neighbors.
Let the dude chill for a sec. My God. He just went up and did something that was.
Malik Neighbors is now just 143 yards away from breaking Josh Reed's all-time career receiving numbers at LSU. Does that even register with people? Malik Neighbors, in just over 2 seasons, he basically only played a half a season in 2021, is about to be the greatest LSU receiver of all time by the numbers. Pictures like that, it's not hard to imagine why. I mean, my God. So glad they didn't take that touchdown away from him or Thomas Jr. Both were obvious touchdowns. I was very excited about this play. Had to quickly send his pops a message. Mac Markway gets his first touchdown as a Tiger, and you gotta love this play design. This play design is just hilarious from Mike Denbrock. Just totally trolling Georgia State here. Let's refresh this thing. Look at this play design. I love it. Why don't we run that
touchdown, more? Mac Markway.
Why don't we run that more? You can't defend two guys coming at you at the same time at LSU. Look at that. Markway going a bit
touchdown, deep. Mac.
Mason Taylor going a bit shallow. It is impossible to defend. Look at that. Look at that. This guy's already screwed here. Jaden Daniels can already, buck willie this thing right into Mason Taylor's grasp. But him and Mason Taylor were having some bad communication, lack of communication all night. Some really bad plays between the two. I mean, they just haven't been connecting like they were last year. And I'm glad to see the offense get more expansive to the receivers. But it was weird to see Mason Taylor almost become an afterthought in the offense. Because look at that. That's your freshman, and you're doing whatever it takes to get it to the freshman. But your number one target from last year outside of Malik is wide open right here at Mason. It is a little strange. Look at how Jaden Daniels throws this too. He's got a guy right in his face too. Jaden Daniels have to hurry and get that off platform. Ridiculous. Jaden, I get this is against Georgia State. It doesn't matter. Someone's still going to hit you in the face. Boom. He's just making it look too easy. And that's why I'm afraid Jaden Daniels might not win this Heisman. Not because he isn't, outrageously good, blah, blah, blah. I think it's because he's making it look too easy. Because of that, there must be, the competition isn't at its usual level in the SEC this year, blah, blah, blah. I think that's such a cop-out. Here's just Harold Perkins just going to work. This is just him working his ass off. Look at that play. He's just all over that. He's just all over that from the second that thing is called. Watch where Harold Perkins starts this play. Right here. See, why weren't we doing that against Florida State? If you wanted him to sit in there and read and react, okay, well, have him read and react. Don't have him just stand there like a statue, which is what happened against Florida State. I mean, that's just too easy. And we saw Florida State do those little routes, those little crossers, and kill us for 20 to 30 yards because Perkins would get caught in the middle of that wash. This is crazy. This is crazy right here. Brian Thomas Jr. and Malik Neighbors have literally melted that record from Jefferson and Chase in 2019. They've now got 5 games together with over 100 yards. They've now got 26 touchdowns. This was before last night's game, mind you. So that went up by 12 catches, by over 200 plus more yards, 200, almost 250 yards, and then 3 more touchdowns. And then that was their 5th game together over 100 yards, Malik and Brian. Brian Thomas Jr. We're in the middle of an article about his development and how we basically, I mean, if you go to LSUODYSSEY.com right now and type in Brian Thomas Jr., you will find probably about a stack of like 30 articles on Brian. We were obsessed with Brian Thomas Jr. I mean, we were obsessed. He was the guy. He was the guy that we had to get for that class, right? 2021, in our opinion. He was the guy. And his recruitment was so quiet. His family was so quiet. He was so quiet. They barely would say a damn thing. And everyone was worried. He's going to Alabama. He's going to Alabama. He's going to Alabama. I just had a feeling this dude is staying here. I just had a feeling. He's staying here at LSU where he should be. And he stays at LSU. That freshman year, he gets a couple touchdowns. He scores against Alabama, actually, in that game where we held Alabama to 6 rushing yards and almost pulled out a win there had there been a few more accurate passes Jack Besh and Malik Neighbors' way. LSU actually wins that game over Bryce Young. Go back and watch that thing. I'm not kidding you. If Max Johnson doesn't kind of like go back like this and just actually takes a hit and delivers the football, stands in there and hangs in there, actually delivers the ball like quarterback should, LSU wins that game over Alabama. It would have been insane for that to happen. But I digress. Point is, Brian Thomas Jr. last season, he had, 5 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns, something like that. And everyone's like, well, he had the touchdowns, but we haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen him hit that next level. And Brian Kelly was kind of a dick whenever he would talk about Brian Thomas Jr. in press conferences. He'd be like, he's just not there yet. He's just not giving us, he would basically be kicking Brian Thomas Jr. in the ass. And I knew it. For a second, I was like, what are you doing, Brian? What are you doing, BK? You're going to send this guy packing. And then I kind of went, no, I think he's coaching him. He's coaching him right here in this press conference. He knows Brian. He knows his family. He knows everyone's going to hear this. He's coaching Brian. He wants him to do what he has just done this season. 15 touchdowns, right? 14 touchdowns? Yeah, 14 total touchdowns, receiving touchdowns for Brian Thomas Jr. is 3rd all-time in LSU history for single-season touchdowns. Only behind who? 2019 Justin Jefferson and 2019 Jamar Chase, who's leading the way at 21, right? 20. I know Jefferson is at 18, and I know Brian Thomas Jr. just passed Terrace Marshall at 13. All 3 of those guys were the top 3 from 2019. Like, ridiculous. It's great to have that kind of cachet on the recruiting trail now. where we can say, hey, look, it wasn't just 2019. We've got record breakers now. Yep, Jamar Chase had 20 even in 2019. Justin Jefferson had 18, and they did that in 15 games. It's going to be nuts to see what Brian Thomas Jr. will end with, and I fully expect Brian Thomas Jr. to enter the NFL draft because of I'm hearing that he's a first round pick. That GMs, people of that ilk, are like, hey, this guy is someone you draft now. He's got those intangibles you want as at receiver. He's someone who is he's one of the most strong. Sorry, let me rephrase that. He's among the strongest players on the team, according to strength and conditioning coach Jake Flint. What does that tell you about Brian Thomas Jr.? Well, okay, contested catch ratio, it's going to be off the charts. He's going to be impossible to contend with in the air. We understand that. We get that. After the catch, he is extremely deceptive in his speed. He's extremely deceptive in the yards he can chew up. He's already over 1,000 yards this season. But his finishing ability inside the red zone, as you've seen, but his big play ability, downfield, deep ball ability, all of that together is his strength that makes him such a singular great player, in my opinion. And I think Brian Thomas Jr. has literally just scratched the surface. I hope he comes back another season at LSU, but that's not happening. This kid's going to the draft. He should, and if I would advise him to if I was his agent. I don't know why that would be controversial in any way, shape, or form. We've got a ton of comments. We've got a lot of viewers in here, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Kent Jones says, you were so right about Steele having a great plan in 2019. I mean, it's there to watch. I mean, it's not. Kevin Steele absolutely harassed and destroyed Joe Burrow in that game. We found very little creases, very little avenues, very little windows to throw. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had the clamp down on him for most of that game. We had to literally get Joey B to start running the ball, start getting those like 6-7 yard gains, 4 or 5 yard gains, and run out of bounds to really get that offense going, and to really get that interior defensive line for Auburn that were just full of studs, really to start splitting them and getting them worn out and getting them to go side to side. We had to do something, and Auburn were all over us in that game. Mark Cumby says SEC is a tougher grind than the Punk 12. I mean, it's not even a competition. It's not even a question. It's not even a duh. Like, it is so obvious. It is sad that we're even having this conversation just because the SEC had more of a down year and lost some games to the Pac-12, and the Pac-12 have a few good teams. Like, the blueprint's going to be the same if it's Alabama versus Oregon going into that title game. If it's Georgia versus Washington going into that title game, we all know what's going to happen next. Whether Penix has the someone called him Penix in that press conference with Brian Kelly that called him Michael Penix. It just it sounds a little funny, doesn't it? Yeah, I don't think Washington, whether they're undefeated going to that college football playoff, like, they will get destroyed. They will get boat raced out of there by Georgia. But here's the thing: there's also going to be an overrated team from the Big Ten in there, either Ohio State or Michigan. Which team is more overrated? I'm really interested to see Michigan, because they say this is a team that's recruited like an SEC school. This is a team that plays like an SEC. I hear that so much about Michigan. Okay, then stop losing like 34 to nothing, 34 to 3 in these college football playoff games that you keep getting automatic bids into. Like these Big Ten teams, these ACC teams, the Notre Dames of the world, they get these just automatic college football playoff invitations, whereas LSU have literally had to like bleed for one. It's just, and it shows you how much different these realities, these complete worlds are. Where LSU are playing in the SEC, where every week is a playoff game. There, they have weeks off. They have like whole months off where there's like zero competition. And then they face a top 10 team within their own conference, and then they lose, and then they wonder what the hell's going on. And it's and then they play an SEC team in a bowl game, like Ole Miss or Missouri, or some random kind of team that didn't really have that great of a year, and they still get their ass kicked by that SEC team, and they wonder why. The South is just different when it comes to football, and it's just it's really funny to see these northern elitists, these West Coast, East Coast elitists, Joe Biden ass sniffers, vaccine obsessives, people who probably still wear masks while they're taking a shit, wear a helmet while they're on top of their wife. These type of people are always going to poo-poo LSU. They're always going to rip on a state like Louisiana. They're always going to make fun of a state like Louisiana and the poverty there, and the lack of education there, and the destroyed healthcare system. They're always just going to laugh and mock instead of actually like try and use their political views to help a state like Louisiana, which is one of the greatest states in this country, a state that continuously adds to this country, continuously builds for this country, but only gets shit on by this country when the state of Louisiana needs some help. They get nothing. They just get a bunch of vultures from insurance companies coming to town. You all know what I'm talking about. And so it's really disgusting when I see these elitists infiltrating the sports world with their politics and their BS, and they're trying to shove it on people, and they filter it all through their viewpoints, through their opinions, and then they press send on a stupid post like that guy posted, that Joe Canzano posted about Jaden Daniels today. NRMN Williams says Brian, Malik, and JD played their way to first round picks. Yes, they did. I think there's still going to be questions about Jaden Daniels, but I think there's going to be at least a handful of teams that just can't pass up the possibilities and the raw intangibles that you have from Jaden Daniels, where that guy's going to work. That guy's going to improve. That guy's going to continue to push. That guy's a comeback king at LSU. How many double-digit comebacks did he lead us on? 5? Yes. A 6th against Florida State, but the missed PAT took that one off the docket there. He could have had 6 double-digit comeback wins at LSU. He's got 5. Incredible. He always has the will to win, always never say die vibe, never quits on any play, but also is starting to show the control of a seasoned signal caller throwing the football, manipulating the pocket, working the pocket. When the pocket starts to collapse around him, he knows where and how to move to best suit him now. Before, he would run right into the sack. He would move right into the sack. Now he's understanding how to literally, like, oh, shoot, Emery just got beat off on the right tackle. I'm going to go around that pressure, or I'm going to go duck inside. He understands that now. It's like he's got eyes in the back of his head at times where he's running through traffic, making this guy miss, making that guy miss, slows it down just a titch, cuts to his left, and then he sees that guy, that hit coming right at his head from behind, and he gets down, gets low, and ends the play. It's crazy what we're seeing from Jaden Daniels. I think we take it for granted. We're going to look back at Jaden Daniels and go, that became the blueprint for how LSU played quarterback, played offense, played football in the Brian Kelly era. I think that's what you're going to see. I think that's Jaden Daniels may be gone after the A&M game, after the bowl game, but the blueprint of dual threat brilliance that he has stamped during his time here at LSU, that's going to stay forever. Sponsor time, everybody. We are brought to you by ReleafMed. ReleafMed.com today, the #1 medical marijuana dispensary in the great state of Louisiana. It's legal, baby. Seriously, this is the #1 all-natural pain relief clinic in Louisiana. If you're sick of the opiates, you're sick of the painkillers, give the All Natural a try at ReleafMed. Get your relief today at ReleafMed.com. Go talk to their seasoned professionals. Go talk to their guys. I mean, these guys are the Jaden Daniels LSU offense, Mike Denbrock 2023 offense of marijuana. These guys have the products. They know what it takes to help you feel better. Get your relief today at ReleafMed.com. Our proud partners, baby. Poe English says people in Oregon are still mad. JD5 ate them alive as a freshman. Yep, that was his 412 passing yards game that he passed this year twice, including last night. Remember, Justin Herbert, they all know that he's really the best quarterback in the nation, hands down. We'll see. I mean, these people are just willfully ignorant and just terrible. Elitist. NRM and Williams says, what are you hearing on Whit Weeks? There's been a lot of innuendo about a fake ID and he's being suspended. That didn't happen. He wasn't suspended. The fake ID thing, that happened a long time ago, and he actually started for the team after he was caught with the fake ID. And the fake ID to go into a casino, no, it was a nothing burger issue. Nothing burger issue. And it was not any reason for suspension for his part, and that's not the reason why he's not playing. The reason why Whit Weeks isn't playing, this is something we have said more than a couple times on our content. And I'm going to say it to you now because there's a few new listeners, new viewers right now. The reason Whit Weeks is not playing is because Omar Spates and Matt House go back a long way. They go back to 2016 when Matt House was recruiting him big time at Kentucky. Matt House wanted him hell or high water to be a linebacker, to run his defense at Kentucky. These two have wanted to play, he's wanted to play for Matt House. Matt House wanted to coach him for 7 years now. They finally get their opportunity this past winter. He transfers to LSU from Oregon State, and we were all excited about it. All we heard from the media, the pumping of he's so great, he's so great. The film, it was hard to judge because that's the Pac-12. This is the SEC. We'll just have to see if he can bridge that gap, if he is that fast, if he can adjust to the speed. He couldn't. He didn't have a chance in hell. And what is the definition of stupidity? When you do the same fucking thing over and over and over and over, and you keep getting terrible, terrible results, but you keep doing it, expecting it to change, expecting it to work. That is the definition of stupidity. And what have we seen from Matt House? Continuously utilizing Omar Speights over and over and over and over and over. When you found out against Ole Miss, this isn't the guy. You found that out in the first half, and you took him out of the game, and you hid that by saying, well, he was injured. That's why we took him out. You took him out because he was sucking. And Whit Weeks goes in there and actually does enough to give us a chance to get back in that game. Should have won that game if Chris Hilton can actually hold on to a damn football. But I guess him and his dad are too busy posting about how Brian Thomas Jr. shouldn't be playing and how Chris should be playing over Brian Thomas Jr. And we saw how that tweet blew up in his dad's face, didn't we? I don't know if any of you saw that. After the Florida State game, we'll go into this other side here. After that Florida State game, where Brian Thomas Jr. made the drop where the Florida State guy was right in his line of sight at the last second, I can see why Brian dropped this pass. But Chris Hilton Sr. posts that picture of Brian dropping the ball and saying, "You've got to play my boy," or something like that. It was very like, wow, you really did this? Because both of those kids are from the same class. Both of those kids are from the, they played against each other in high school in the same year. Like, those guys know each other. Like, they were friends. They are friends. It's very strange to do that. Take a shot at another kid so that your kid can play. Well, the next week, Chris Hilton dropped 2 wide open touchdowns, one of which he's diving when it's like, this dude has state champion track speed. This ball wasn't overthrown. Just run underneath it and catch it. He's diving for it, and it goes off his fingers anyway. He's dropping a game-winning touchdown, Hail Mary touchdown, that Jaden Daniels put right on both of his hands. And then you see yesterday, we got to put this up, where Chris doesn't even look like he wants to be there. I got to admit, he doesn't look like he wants to be there. He doesn't look like he wants to play football. And Jaden Daniels throws just a perfect little swing pass right into Chris's breadbasket. A quick catch by Chris and turn it upfield. And who knows what you can get? Who knows what you can turn that into? And instead, Chris literally lets the ball just go flapping through his hands. Not even a look, not even a like, and he thinks he deserves the right to just continue to walk back out there and keep playing. And Brian Kelly has none of it. Kelly's like, Kelly, what in the hell are you doing? Get out of there. Concentrate. You see it says something like effing concentrate. And then he says something like, catch the fucking ball. Here it is. Here it is. I mean, this is after all the ripping on other teammates, ripping on the nation's leading touchdown guy. But no, Brian shouldn't be playing. My son should be playing. Not when you see that. Right there. Puts it right. I mean, Chris has time to do a lot with that too. And look at Kelly. He's having none of this shit. Kelly's having none of this bullshit. And look at that. Look at that. That's the problem. That's the problem right here. Isn't that Chris is just dropping it? It's this right here. He looks like he barely gives a shit. And that's why Kelly's like, no, 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 you're not shuffling your way back in there. Get out of there. Get out of there. That was a moment I had to capture last night. I was like, what is going on? Look at Malik. Look at that speed. Look at that speed through traffic. Are you kidding me? Just so tight, so nimble, so just barely get him. This was sick. This is what we were talking about earlier. We're talking about what Brian Thomas Jr. can provide. Look at this. The route running is impeccable. Of course, that pass is perfect. But look at that strength. While someone's literally like holding on to the ball while you're trying to dive with it for a split second, you can easily fumble that thing in that situation. Ooh. You see, he's in from that. I mean, like, he's in. Nose of the ball is over the white. But it's just so brilliant to see Brian Thomas Jr. totally evolve into the player we always hoped he would be. But not only that, he's gone like 10 times further. I mean, for me, I always thought Malik would be something special. Hey, buddy. I always knew Malik would be something special. Brian Thomas Jr. was always like the jury. What are we going to see from him? What are we going to see from him? Are we going to see the greatness we're expecting? We're hoping for here? Hey, Bubba. And Brian delivered. But this is why I think this is what hurts the most about this season right here.
Oh my God.
You could see the lack of recruiting. You could see the lack of talent with the transfers we brought in. You also got Deuce Chestnut, J.K. Johnson, and Denver Harris basically being complete non-factors. So there's 3 bodies just gone right there that you were counting on. LSU put their eggs in the baskets that made those eggs rot very quickly. Terrible analogy, but I guess it works. LSU defensively has to get this going. Offensively, where will LSU be next year with Garrett Nussmeier? Obviously, we're not going to be some type of unstoppable freight train of assassinry like we've seen with Jaden Daniels, where he's
That
putting up
guy's got some soft.
total touchdowns in a single game. We're not going to see that type of bullshit. But I think what we're going to see from Nussmeier is at least going to make that offense something we're not really going to be like, oh, God, let's worry about this offense. Okay? I think what we do have to worry about is continuing to stack the depth at that defensive line, the depth at that defensive backfield, linebacker. Every phase of that defense you should be worried about. It's not, oh, linebacker's okay because we got this name and this name. They're a transfer portal exit away. You know, these guys are that close to being off the roster. We could lose Witt and West Weeks in one go. Christian Braithwaite. That's 3 guys right there that we could be lost at the linebacking, in the linebacking core for next season. Gray Penn III, that could be another guy who could be going to the NFL draft. I don't think he should be going to the NFL draft, but try telling him that. This dude is a dog, though, Javian Toviano. I love what I've seen from him. This is a guy that Robert Steeples did great work getting in the last cycle. Robert Steeples did some damn good work in the last cycle. I know Ashton Stamps had some catches on him. I know he made some mistakes last night, but it was also good to see him get some playing time. I'm just wondering why we're going all over the country for certain guys. I'm just wondering why we're not mining the absolute gold mine that is Louisiana's high school talent. And making sure, just like we did this last class, that we're getting 8 of the top 10 talents. At least. When you got a guy like Tradez Green. Have you seen this freak? Have you seen this guy who's coming to campus next year? Tradez Green and what he's been doing in the Louisiana high schools. It's absolutely ridiculous the catches this guy's making. You can't just call this guy a tight end. This guy's at least a hybrid, so you're adding that guy to your receiving core as well. Kamorion Pimpton's barely even been tried out this season. He's another dude that looks like he could be a freak as well. So it could be more of a tight ends based passing attack next season because the personnel's there. Mac Markway is the complete tight end. Mac Markway might be better than Mason Taylor right now. I might trust Mac Markway on a tight end play more than Mason Taylor. And I think Mike Denbrock might say the same thing. And that should worry you because Mason Taylor is supposed to be a pillar of this team. But also, that should excite you because it shows you that LSU do have depth there. Offensive line depth looks fantastic. Brad Davis constantly doing work on the offensive line. Really, what should scare you is that LSU has another defensive season like this. Because I'm telling you right now, and we're gonna end the show right here as it is. After this last thought. But LSU, if we did not have Jaden Daniels this season, LSU probably win 5 or 6 games. That is, I'm not kidding around here. Seriously, LSU probably lose a ton of games this last season without Jaden Daniels. We probably finish under 500. With Jaden Daniels, we only have 3 losses. And just a shave off of a chance at a college football playoff. Still had a chance at a college football playoff if we had just 2 losses. Still, somehow, in it. And that's the magic of Jaden Daniels. If we have a defense like this anywhere in the same constellation as this repugnant bullshit, Garrett Nussmeier will find it extremely tough in his first season as starter. And it would be extremely unfair for Nussmeier. We've got to give him a great defense to get off the ground, in the best way possible at LSU as starter. You can't leave him hanging. So for those 2 reasons, I don't understand how you could continue with Matt House as your defensive coordinator. I understand he's got a lot of loyalty in that building, a lot of love in that building. He did a lot of great things last year. But when you cost your team a chance at a championship contention, this team should probably only have 1 loss on their schedule. If we even had 2, we're still in it. But with this defense, Jaden Daniels had to literally go Superman, put on that Superman cape every single week, and he still almost did it. He still is going to help LSU win 10 games. And none of that should have ever had to happen. None of it should have ever been thrust on him to play hero ball every week. For Malik Neighbors to break Josh Reed's all-time record. For Brian Thomas Jr. to be 3rd all-time touchdown receiving. All of these marks, and they mean nothing because LSU are probably at best going to be playing at a New Year's Six Bowl. That's the most we can hope for from a season where you have that kind of production. And you know why? Because you have that type of dysfunction defensively. And that's something that it'll be hard to stomach with each passing year. I'm telling you. It'll get even worse when we watch this defense in retrospect. It'll keep getting worse and worse and worse. Kent Jones, wish Kelly would override House and put Weeks in. I'm sure he would, but I think he also subscribes to some of that type of can't let them get their heads big too early type, like old school mentality. I don't know, Kent. It's strange. It's annoying. It's incomprehensible why they wouldn't play Whit Weeks, and it makes no sense to me. But everybody, wow, we have had a huge audience tonight. This has been an awesome show. Thank you so much for coming in tonight. We have been presented to you, powered, however you want to say it, sponsored by our friends at ReleafMed. Get your relief today at ReleafMed.com, the #1 marijuana dispensary in Louisiana, legal, lovely Louisiana, the #1 all-natural headquarters for pain relief. Get your relief today at ReleafMed.com. Our good people there will set you straight, set you on the course for pain relief, baby. Everybody, have a good rest of your night. Have a good rest of your Sunday. Have a good week coming up. Keep it locked and loaded at LSUODYSSEY.com. If you want to laugh while you get crazy with your LSU content, check out the article we put up last night. It was absolutely a hoot to write. It was absolutely wild. It felt kind of like a throwback to one of our first articles. There's a lot of weirdness in that thing. It's a very, 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 very strange article, and we had so much fun doing it. Let's put that up. We're gonna put that link to that article right there in the comments section for your viewing pleasure. Definitely check it out. If you want just the main meat, meat and potatoes, sports coverage, we got you covered. If you want something new, something crazy in sports coverage, we got you covered in there as well. And it's all there in that very, very strange article. Everybody, thank you for joining the Sunday show. Have a good rest of your night. Go Tigers.